Hey, welcome to vlog number 3. I'm Jason, and today we're going to talk about my recent bicycling accident. So some of you who follow my fundraiser page may have seen that I was recently in a bicycle accident while on the very first day of the cycling challenge. So I'm taking part in the Great Cycle Challenge. We're trying to raise money for children's cancer research, and I pledged to ride 200 miles, and I'm looking for sponsors for that. So Tuesday was the very first day of that. I got out and I got into quite the accident. This is actually the least of my concern. This I could easily continue to cycle with, but it's my thigh, which I'll show you here in a little bit, that is absolutely ridiculously injured. So I was just going to give you a rundown on what happened and then tell you what I meant to tell you on Tuesday. I meant to do a blog post on Tuesday kicking off the challenge, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that as well. And we'll look at x-rays and my injury. And I know they're hard to see, but if you like any of the photos that are showing up on the screen back there, you can actually get them with a $50 donation. I send you a link to go where you can download them. There's also several tiers. You can get a printed version of one of these if you donate, I think, $75. There's also credit to in a Flare Court Media video, as well as a mountain climbing reward tier. So check that out. I have a link in the description down below. But first, I just wanted to tell you what happened, actually. So I was bicycling. So basically, I was biking on a bike trail. That's what this is right here, bicycle trail. And this is a main road, and then this is an entrance ramp, so this is a highway down here, and this is a bridge. And anyway, this is the cars are coming up here, and then cars are going down here, and then this is traffic's moving that way, and traffic's moving that way. So this is a bridge. So here I am on the bicycle path, and right here is a homeless person. I know he's homeless because he had a sign that said so, and he's sitting there on the side by the bridge, and he has a dog. And so I'm biking at about 20 miles per hour, and next thing I know, this dog darts in front of me, and so I have to, fortunately there's no cars coming this way, I have to hop the curb in over here to dodge the dog. And then I come up here, and this is where the bike, there's a road here, and so then the bike trail starts again, so there's just a little bit of a, on section. Anyway, my bike then, I go in the grass because I'm going too fast because I've done this crazy little loop thing. And it had just rained that morning. The ground wasn't wet, most of that had evaporated, but anyway, the bike then hit the edge of the bike path, and the bike stopped. And I continued on and slid for a ways. And yeah. So anyway, so what happened? It's crazy how when you are when something bad happens or an emergency or something, your brain goes into fast forward. I don't know if it stores all of that information and then processes it after the accident is done, or if it is just processing all of it while it's happening. So like, I realized while I was skidding on my arm, I'm like, I am skidding, I'm losing a lot of skin. I knew what was happening. I got up, and fortunately it was clean scrapes. I didn't have any gravel in it because that is the worst to try to clean out. And I knew I had hurt my thigh, but I didn't know how bad. I just knew I was going to have a big bruise there. So I had, scrapes and stuff all over my knees, and legs are all scraped up. So I hop up, and not a single person stops. I mean, this is a major, stoplights right here. Not a single person stopped to check on me. I get back on my bike, the handlebars are crooked, so I straighten those out. I'm running on so much adrenaline that it's not really hurting yet. So I bike the 2 miles back, and my bike's a little messed up, but it should be able to be fixed pretty well. And just, mad and not bleeding a whole lot. Like I said, they're clean scrapes. So I get home, and then first thing I need to do is concern myself with the blood. So I go into the shower and run a cool water over everything, trying to just rinse stuff off and make sure that I don't have gravel or anything in the wounds, which I didn't. So then I get done with the shower, I kind of dry off, air dry, whatever. Thigh is still okay, it's not bad, but I knew, like I said, it was going to bruise, but I was mostly concerned with I just needed to start patching things up. So I went through every bandage in the house. I had to go to my car and get my emergency first aid kit out of my car. I looked everywhere, got every single big bandage I could find. And then I realized, well, I'm going to have to change these dressings soon, and I'm out of bandages, so I went to Walgreens and went shopping and picked that stuff up. Well, in all this time, I had not put ice on my thigh, and as I'm driving back from Walgreens, I'm noticing that it's getting hard down there. And so when I come into the house, I've noticed it's now swollen. So this is my normal thigh thickness. Well, it's now, out to here. So I sit down and put some ice on it. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So the accident happened about 11 o'clock. And by the time my wife came home, who treated me well during this whole thing, I thank you very much, Wendy, for taking me to the doctor and being with me and patient and everything. You treated me excellent. By the time she got home at about 4, I'm now not able to walk because the swelling is so bad, and then my groin, I'm feeling a pain on the inside of my groin. So the question is, do I need to go see someone or just wait it out? So I ended up doing a virtual visit with the doctor through our insurance, which is great. So I sent them the pictures and they called me and they said, well, they can't really diagnose it remotely based on what I sent them, because in your thigh there's all these arteries, and if one of those is nicked, if I have a broken bone and it's nicked bad or something, then you can end up bleeding so much that you need a transfusion. And how big my swelling had gotten, she recommended that I go to emergency care. So we packed in the car and off I went to emergency care, and had to wait 2.5 hours, something like that, in the car because 1, COVID, so you can't go in the waiting room. 2, they only had one physician's assistant on duty at 4:30 or something at night. And then 3, they had an emergency come in, and obviously those take precedence. So I'm sitting there, no ice on it, just patiently waiting. And finally I get in, and he just can't believe how big it is. All the nurses on duty all came in to look at it. It's kind of a spectacle at how big it had gone. So he recommended doing an x-ray, so off I went to do an x-ray. And when you x-ray your femur, normally they do the front-on view, which is easy enough, but then they also like to do the splayed view. So that's where you do like a butterfly, so you take your hips and widen them out. But the swelling was so massive that I couldn't roll my leg. So for one of them, we had to end up, she moved the x-ray off to the side here, and I had to, this is my good leg, I had to come here and raise my leg up and hold it up, and then hold the x-ray panel something like this, and she shot through my other leg at this x-ray panel in order to get one of the shots. But fortunately, no breaks. They sent it to the physician on call and the radiologist. Didn't see anything that looked dangerous. However, because of how big the swelling was, they said, well, oftentimes you need to do a CT scan to make sure that, again, we didn't nick an artery or something like that, or with the tendons or ligaments, whichever they are, weren't injured, that type of thing. So after 4 hours at the emergency care center, they send me to the ER to go get a CT scan. So now it's 9:30 at night when we finally get to the ER, and fortunately they weren't busy. And by this time I wasn't able to walk at all, so I was able to hobble into the emergency care clinic, and then after that I had to get a wheelchair everywhere I went because I just couldn't walk. Went to the ER. Again, everyone on duty, all the nurses and stuff, had to come in and look at it. I think I had every nurse that was on duty come in and help with one thing or another, so that way they'd all, oh, can I see? Because it was impressive. But they looked at it, and the doctor said that because it wasn't getting any bigger, that she thought the bleeding had stopped, because that's what was causing it. It had broken a blood vessel, and blood was just pouring into it. And so they gave me an IV, which I hate IVs, gave me an IV and drew some blood to check my hemoglobin to make sure the bleeding had stopped. Everything was good there, so they didn't need to do the CT scan. So they just gave me some morphine to ease the pain, and then changed all my bandages and sent me on my way. But I want to talk about the morphine because it's really interesting. So if you've never had morphine, it definitely gives you a heat rush in your veins. And so they gave me 6 milligrams, I think, of morphine, which is a decent dose from what I was told. And they put it in my IV, and so they put it in, it's thick, kind of hurts a little bit, and then they use saline solution to flush it and get going through your circulatory system. So I'm just laying there, just, breathing through it, because I don't do well with intravenous things. And all of a sudden, as soon as she started putting the saline solution in, I felt it hit my heart, and then I felt it like in 2 pumps. One pump it kind of came out to here, and in 2 pumps I felt it through all of my body and right up through my neck. And it's just like boom, boom, and, and so it's just crazy to feel your circulatory system like, that's how far it moves in 2 pumps. But the thing is, then it took about 30 pumps to get up to my brain, and I felt it when it got to my brain. And that is why when you're giving CPR to someone, they have you pump for 30 times, because it takes about 20 pumps before the blood gets to your head, because those are really small blood vessels and stuff up there. So if you're only pumping about 20 times when you're giving CPR and you stop, you're not getting fresh oxygen to their brain. So you can be giving CPR, stopping, giving CPR, and their brain is dying because you're not doing the full 30. And so that's about how long it took for 30 pumps or so before I then felt the rush in my brain. I didn't like the morphine. It really hurt. My throat or my jugular, that's what really hurt the worst. It was just hot and uncomfortable. I wasn't swelling or anything. I don't like intravenous stuff. But so then they gave me a prescription for some oxycodone. Gave me, like I said, cleaned me up and sent me on my way. They're really great. Well, I tried to go into CVS to help get the prescription. My wife told me not to. I didn't listen to her. I'm standing in there. I get the head rush. I get pale, and I about pass out. And it's everything I can do to run out to the car and put the ice packs they gave me on my face and open the windows, because the morphine had made me sick and I was nauseous from it. So stay in the car. But anyway, took the pain medicine, went to sleep. Got up the following morning, took the pain medicine again. Oxycodone, as with many narcotics, can make you itchy. And so over the night I kept waking up itching, but my nose, it felt like I had the worst allergies ever. I just could not stop itching my nose. But fortunately I kept icing and laying down and everything. A lot of the swelling went down yesterday, and I had crutches and I needed them, but by the end of the day I stopped taking the oxy because it was just kind of really bothering me, plus the pain wasn't that bad. Swelling went down enough that I could walk on it now. But anyway, enough about talking about it. Let me show you the injury as it stands today. Alright, I promised to keep everything decent. Avert your eyes if you don't want to see a big injury. But so this is, I don't know if you can see that. This is the bruise as it stands. So when I got injured, or when I realized this swelling, I put on my tightest couple pair of underwear that stopped right here, and the swelling kind of stopped right at that level. Now this is since basically as my body reabsorbs the blood, gravity and stuff is causing this to run down, and if I were sitting a lot, I'd probably have it running down the back of my thigh as well. But this here, you can see I lost a little bit of skin, but this is rock hard. But it's deflated a lot because when it was injured, it is probably out to here, and the whole thing was swollen. So all of this isn't too bad, but it's going to be turning some good colors. So basically they said over the next couple of days my body's going to start reabsorbing the blood, which it already has, and that's giving me my mobility. The pain I was feeling in my groin was from just a pulled tendon or ligament or whichever it is. So that wasn't a major injury. So I should be feeling more comfortable as the week progresses, but it's obviously going to take probably 6 months, if not more, for all of that color to go away. So I'm not sure how soon I'm going to be able to get on my bike again. The challenge runs until the end of September, and right now, after today, I should be at about 30 miles. I definitely want to finish it. It just may end up taking me longer than I planned. And the first day, I actually went out and printed the calendar, this personalized calendar for myself. And so I did 6 miles the day I got injured. but I should be here today. Anyway, my hope is maybe by the 13th or 14th I can climb back on a bike. If you're wondering who this is Harriet, and Harriet is 4 years old, and she's the official starter for the Great Cycle Challenge. And so Harriet, a year ago, was diagnosed with childhood leukemia, and she's been battling it for about a year now. She's had 120 days of chemotherapy and 8 blood transfusions and 14 lumbar punctures and 2 bone marrow biopsies and 57 clinic visits and 5 emergency room visits. So she's a little trooper, and from what I hear, she helps her mom with covering up her stent and stuff like that. So she was the official ride starter. And so I just thought it'd be great to find the children that we're actually riding for and trying to raise money for, and pepper my wall with them every time I go for a ride as a reminder of what we're doing this for. I'm not looking for any sympathy at all in the comment section. Save it for the children. I'm a grown adult and healthy otherwise, so all the sympathy needs to go to them. So there are 2 ways that you can help then. One is by sponsoring me in my bike riding challenge. Like I said, going to be a little bit before I can get back to it, but I promise I'm going to keep trying to get those 200 miles, and if I can get them in September, I'm going to do it. If it takes me into October, then so be it. We're going to get it done. So you can donate to that charity. I say sponsor me, but really all the money that you donate goes to the Children's Cancer Research Fund. And then there's a reward tiers in it for you, so I think there's 5 different levels, and so if you donate X amount of money, you get something back that I put together as a way of saying thank you. I'm trying to raise $500, and I've got about $66 right now, so thank you to those of you who have donated. The second way is to go onto St. Jude Hospital website. You can actually send a card. You can pick from 4 different designs and write a little message, and they will pick one of the children and families to deliver the card to and your message. And so I did that on my first day right before I went for my ride. I said, hey, I'm thinking about you as a pedal, etc., etc. And I intend to do that every time I go for a ride. Just send a little message out saying, keep fighting, and hang in there. Hope you get well soon. But anyway, that is it for this video. Not a whole lot more to say. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time, and stay safe.